Shh. Hello and welcome back to Boring Dad Gaming, where today we're going to be playing some more Tiny Bunny. So, a few chills in the opening part of the game last time round. It was, yeah, definitely gave me the willies in a couple of places. So let's have a quick look at some of the stuff in this room. My Triceratops figurine. I know about all sorts of dinosaurs: velociraptors, afrovenators, hypsilophodonts. I remember going to the movies to see Jurassic Park back when we still lived in the city and taking pictures with the T-Rex in the hall. It turned its head and roared. It was awesome. And next to it was a Robotech Transformer. I love this cartoon. When a jet fighter speeds up in the intro among the sounds of blaster fire, you know your next 20 minutes will surely be amazing. Zentrady's space station is captured. Rick, get ready for battle. What else we got? We're not going to look at the curtains yet, so that's where Olya's hiding. I've dreamt of becoming an artist since Dad bought me my first comic book. Fly magazine was the coolest. I especially liked the big space-related edition, with alien monsters and that funny episode about a gendarme. Fly, the first Soviet and Russian periodic adult comic magazine, extremely popular during the crazy 90s. What made the magazine stand out was the refusal to use material from its foreign counterparts. Okay. I started drawing all kinds of stuff since that day, and I seem to be getting pretty good at it. One of my letters even got published in Fly once. Maybe someday I'll even publish my comic. Alright, let's click on the curtains now. The forest didn't look as grim during the day. Entangled tree branches in the distance, and the snowy field between our house and the forest brought sleepiness to my eyes. But sometimes I would still catch myself looking in the window at the icy treetops instead of doing my homework. Okay, well... How strange, I remember moving this curtain. Okay, well we know she's hiding there. Well, I guess we'll open the desk. One of the drawers was empty. I hid the mitten there. This simple action drained the last bit of strength from me. I sat on the bed, and only then I noticed there was someone behind the curtains. My tired hand dropped to the sheets. Whether it was due to medication I took or the stress I underwent, the room began to contort as if the wind was blowing the walls out like a pair of sails. The corners of the room bent and undulated. The only stable thing in the whole room was the figure between the windowsill and the curtains. A flimsy piece of cloth was stuck to my hidden visitor. It reminded me of burial sheets. Olya? Who else would be standing there? I stood up and licked my dried-up lips. Yeah, Olya, it's so funny. The silhouette was unmoving. It was enveloped softly by the curtains, as if there was a thick layer of darkness there, not a human being. I reached towards the curtains. Budum, budum, beat my heart, controlled by medication. The wind sang in the field with a chorus of voices. For a second I wanted to return to the bed, just lie down and watch the person behind the curtain, knowing full well they were looking back at me. They're looking without blinking, waiting for me to fall asleep. Plastic rings rustled against the holder when I pulled open the curtains. Gotcha! It is Olya. We knew it was Olya. I knew it was you from the beginning. A blindingly bright halo lit up above Olya's head with the setting sun as the background. My sister was shining. When she was just a baby, Dad always used to say that she was shining with happiness. I always retorted, "But Dad, she's not some flashlight." But I brought her to the window one day and sunlight poured on her smiling face. I felt like I was holding a light-woven child. I saw everything. Oh, really? What did you hide? She was just like my mum when she was little, before she put on her sad mask of tiredness and switched to her commanding tone of voice. It's nothing, just... Olya ran up to the table, her eyes round, and asked, You stole something and hid it there. Are you a thief? What? Don't be stupid. I didn't steal anything. A clear image came to mind, that mitten hanging from a tree branch. What if I did steal it after all? From the forest, from the tilted figure standing behind black trees. Olya could be selfish and stubborn when she wanted. Then show me. Swear that you won't tell anyone, then I'll show you. Olya wore a plotting smile. I swear on Mum's heart. An oath she heard in one of the movies about the pioneers we've watched. And the pioneers, an umbrella term for communist children organisations existing around the world, somewhat reminiscent of the Scout movement. Okay. Don't say things like that. Olya nodded and made a gesture with her hand, locking her mouth with an imaginary key. She was filled with a curiosity that was splashing in her giant eyes. I opened the drawer, and Olya leaned in, holding her breath. It looked there was not just a simple mitten, but some sort of exotic critter. Is this someone's mitten? She said that as if she couldn't understand what she saw. A certain boy lost it and got lost himself. Now do you understand how dangerous it is for kids to wander into the forest, right? He must be really cold out there. Will they find him? They will. The police are going house to house, showing his photo to everybody. Olya traversed the room with care and pressed her tiny palms against the window. And why are they going to the houses and not the forest? Are they scared? The question caught me off guard. The police aren't scared of anything. They've already scouted the forest. Yeah, right, flashed in my clouded mind. Did they really check every nook and cranny, where darkness, cold, and whispers of icy branches dwell? If that's the case, how did they miss the mitten? Or did it appear later? For me. I changed the topic, as if trying to get Olya as far away as possible from the forest thicket. We may get a reward if I go and find this boy by myself. A lot of stuff, like in the Wheel of Fortune. Sounds cool, right? Olya wasn't listening to me. She was piercing the forest with incredibly adult eyes, uncharacteristic for her. What if the owl got him? Nonsense. An owl won't be able to lift a human. But you know what? I was picking my words with utmost care. I forced them out of my overexerted brain. Stay away from the forest. I think it's, how should I put it? It's cursed or something. Just like in a fairy tale? No, more like in that spooky tape our parents hide from us. Olya shivered and stole a glance at the window. I saw you running away. Someone was chasing you? No, it's just I was hurrying back home so Mum won't be worried. As I looked at my sister, my heart was tearing apart. She was so fragile, it was so easy to stifle her light. A gust of wind, and her small fire would be gone. You're lucky. Mum won't even let me go outside. I'm like a princess in the tower, can't go anywhere. I'll die from boredom here. You're wrong. No one has ever died of boredom. And you gave me and your cartoon. Oh, and you have me and your cartoons. And Mum and Dad will be good to each other soon. You know what I would wish for on my next birthday? I'd wish for Mum and Dad to turn into children so we could go and play together like we used to. Yeah, and if you'd make them as small as bugs, we could place them in a little box. Olya giggled and tugged at my sleeve. Tosha, let's go watch Aladdin. Fatigue won over my desire to be with my little sister. I was washed over by some sort of heinous apathy. I'm too tired, I don't want to. Come on. It's so boring alone and Mum's always busy. We can pick a cartoon you haven't seen before. I know all of our takes by heart at this point. Not all of them. You haven't watched Peter Pan. Remember how you fell asleep in the middle of it? And so much happens after that. Let's go. Oh, maybe a bit later. Should I tell you how it ends? Let's leave that for tomorrow. I won't tell you tomorrow. I know. Let's play hide and seek. No, Olya. Oh, then draw me a dino. Olya, please. Draw it. Leave me alone already. I blurted it out without thinking, and then I was immediately taken aback. I'd never screamed at my little sister like that. Olya stared at me in shock. Her lips started trembling, a precursor to tears. My chest was seething with disgust and embarrassment. What's happening to me? I hurried to prevent Olya from crying. All right, you win. Let's go watch cartoons for a bit. I don't wanna. I came up to her, put my hand on her soft head. Let's go. Let's go watch Peter Pan. Boo, you'll fall asleep again. I smiled and lifted her chin. Her eyes were wet and felt bottomless. I promise I won't. And I'll draw you a full Triceratops later. Hooray! Triceratops? Well, close enough. Olya rubbed her eyes with the sleeve of her pyjamas, and a shining smile returned to her face. I'll go ask Mum for condensed milk and bread, and you rewind the tape. The bread is fresh, just how you like it. All right, just be careful not to spill the milk, or you'll be yelled at again. Want to bet I won't spill it? The tape is somewhere in the nightstand. Look for it. Olya disappeared into the doorway, and I dragged my feet into the neighbouring room. Okay, we've got any stuff to look at here. Look at the piggy bank. A piggy bank. Olya is saving money for a real puppy, because Dad said that taking care of him will take a lot of money. Olya's countless toys. An old teddy bear is the main attraction here. Olya won't sleep without it. And she digs her nose into its fur when she sleeps. What else we got? We got the window. The scary window where Olya sees that accursed owl every night, lurking in the dark. Olya keeps curtains open during the day, but as soon as the twilight comes, she shuts them tight so she wouldn't see the pair of hungry eyes outside. What else was there? That's it, isn't it? Okay, so we'll turn on the telly. The old photon TV was gathering dust in the corner. All that was left was clicking the button on the front panel. The tube warmed up and familiar white noise started dancing on the black screen. I almost reached out to turn on the VCR when the noise calmed down and a blurry image appeared for a moment. It was a dark taiga forest, just like the one outside my window. The picture split the screen in half. Something creepy resembling human speech was coming out of the speaker. Just a few moments later, the scenery was again overshadowed by noise. Did it catch some rogue signal? Local TV station only really showed Soviet cartoons, and even that was pretty rare. And only just recently I used to always watch Robotech before school. It was so awesome. Maybe I should tinker with the antenna. What if I catch this channel again? On the other hand, Olya had asked me to find the tape. It wouldn't be nice to disappoint her. But in my sleepy state, I didn't have the strength to do all of it, so we've got to make a choice then by the sound of it. Okay, we'll search for the tape. We were pretty horrible to her earlier, weren't we? So we should make amends. I sifted through the shelves full of dolls and blue hippos from Kinder Surprise. I found the tape I needed thanks to its shabby spine. She's got Predator in there. She shouldn't be watching Predator. I got the black rectangle from its box. The tape inside it rustled while rewinding to the beginning. This rustle was lulling me to sleep. Drowsiness attacked me while I was squatting before the TV. Images whirled in my head. Me and Olya flying above the forest, tumbling in the soft clouds. My little sister is laughing, but her smile becomes more and more forced with every passing second. I notice that the clouds underneath us part, bearing the bristly pine tops. Swampy darkness slurped among the trees. The wings are no longer able to hold us and Olya. You haven't started without me, have you? My sister brought the tray with unevenly cut bread and a whole can of condensed milk. I rubbed my eyes. No, come sit. Mum and Dad are arguing again. They're going through rough times. Rough times are lame. On the screen, Wendy was hiding Peter Pan's shadow into the dresser. Olya was entertained by the cartoonish dog, Nana. Oh, look how fuzzy it is. Maybe Mum and Dad will buy us a dog too. Yeah, right. I'll have my own dog in the Neverland, and a cat and a parrot. Olya smeared a slice of bread with a thick layer of condensed milk and handed it to me. Have you lost all of your baby teeth? Obviously. Olya frowned, deep in thought. Peter Pan has baby teeth. What if they won't let you go to his land with adult teeth? Well, I'll think of something. We'll ask Dad to alter your age in the passport. And why would Dad forge documents? Olya took a bite from the sandwich and started talking with her mouth full. He woo? I heard Mum say that he did that before. Yeah, Dad was obviously something shady, wasn't he? You'll grow ears as big as Dumbo's. Olya got worried and touched her ear. I smiled to myself. My little sister was silent now. She just devoured bread, watching the adventures of Peter Pan, Tinkerbell, and James Hook. As if she got sucked into the fairy tale Neverland. To be honest, I also imagined myself there, in a land where one never ages, where no one argues over little things, where no one listens to fights and the sound of broken plates at night. It felt like I was dreaming with my eyes still open. Then my sister's scream pulled me back to reality. Tosha, shut the curtains fast! Why? No one's watching you. It's dark, and when it's dark the owl comes. I'm scared. I got out of bed, fighting my drowsiness, and closed the curtains. I did my best not to look outside towards the treetops, toward the taiga forest, which seemingly drew closer and closer. Of course, it was just a visual effect from shadows of branches scraping the snow. Tosha, Mum thinks I made the owl up. And Dad, too, thinks I'm a liar since I'm small. But the owl exists. Honestly it does. You believe me, right? That it comes every night and... I swiftly grabbed Olya's hand and looked her in the eyes. I was trying to transfer at least some of my courage and determination. But did I really have those qualities? Yes, I believe you, all right? Just don't nag our parents about it anymore. They're already dealing with a lot, so they'll just get mad at you. Come and tell me if anything happens. And don't look out the window. But it wants me to look. Doesn't matter. Act like it doesn't exist and never existed, like it's made up, just like Mum and Dad say. It'll get tired of waiting and fly away. We followed Peter Pan's adventures as if nothing had happened, as if the forest didn't kidnap kids, as if our parents weren't tearing each other apart, bit by bit. Captain Hook was running away from a crocodile, and Captain Pan was headed to London on a gilded sailboat. By some miracle, I lasted longer than my little sister. Olya's eyelids had dropped. She started snoring lightly, resting her chin on the side of the bed. I stood up and left Olya's room. I was looking out the window, studying the field, when Mum peeked into my room. Enough playing around. It's your first day at school tomorrow. Go to bed, you should sleep properly. You don't want to be teased for being sleepy, right? Adults think everything is so simple. As if sound sleep would ensure my classmates would like me. I covered myself with a blanket up to my neck and listened to the house humming, to something invisible rustling in the corners. My inner voice had a question for me. Do I want to hear that mysterious flute again? Yes or no? Maybe it's just a part of growing up and I can't fully understand my own desires. Oops, hang on. I think I clicked too quickly. What was that last bit? The forest wailed behind the barrier that was my walls. Some ethereal entity wandered the fields. Branches shook as if calling for me. The wind howled on and on in the night. My thoughts were like annoyed flies that entered my head before becoming weak and tangled. I didn't notice how I fell into slumber. It has come after all. The day I feared the most, the first day of a new school term. Okay, Episode 2, Time to Play with You. New school, new teachers, and most importantly, new classmates. who I always have trouble connecting with. Like most other kids with glasses, probably. I forced myself to get out of my warm bed. Dad would usually drive me to my old school, but this morning the bedroom of my parents was silent. Did they sleep in? Maybe it was a good thing. I didn't want to get the daddy's boy reputation from day one. My parents were probably still tucked in, dreaming about the good old days, when everything was so simple and easy. Sweet dreams, even if far removed from reality. I silently sneaked out to the first floor so I wouldn't wake up anybody, especially the peacefully sleeping Olya. I did my best to step on the middle of every floorboard. I used to play like this even in our old apartment. If my soles touched the space between the floorboards, it counted as stepping into lava. The clock was spurring me on with its hands. I need to hurry! Faster! Faster! I was too fast, so I needed to circle the hallway once again. Boiling lava was bursting out of the cracks between floorboards. I needed to watch my step to survive at any cost. Hippity-hop, like a frog jumping on molehills, like a fearful bunny in a grove full of wolves. I made a sandwich in the kitchen, shoved it down my throat and drank it down with cold tea. My appetite was as good as of someone being led up the scaffold towards a guillotine. I lowered my gaze and saw that one of my feet was standing on two floorboards at the same time. Burnt to a crisp, huh? I moved my foot. Disgusting little snakes writhed in my belly, the fear of getting hit and being called nasty names. The clock clicked. I need to go. It was dark outside, fitting for an early winter morning. The darkness never fully left the houses around here. I took my time tying my shoes, buttoning up the puffy down jacket, trying to delay my unpleasant exit into the semi-dark, into the unnerving unknown. I rubbed my glasses for good luck, though I couldn't remember a single time these thick pieces of glass brought me any good fortune. The sky was akin to a giant bruise. On the east side of it, a black cloud was swelling up. It licked up stars from the sky and extinguished the rising sun. Darkness was plastered all over the treetops. The cautious cries of birds got tangled up in the thicket. I locked the front door with a long key that I wore around my neck. My parents made me wear this noose, afraid that I, being a total klutz that I am, could lose the key otherwise. The wind whizzed on the other side of the gate. It invited me into my new life, towards dubious adventures, and tagged alone like an old buddy, pushing me in the back. Wide shadows that pines threw out covered a third of the clearing. Upon reaching the edge of the forest, I hid my nose in the coat's collar. I was squeezing through the thin firebreak, my hair ruffled up and my back hunched over. Tall trees stood on both sides of the tiny trail. The snowy blanket rustled under my feet, and the canopy of intertwined branches above my head cut me off from the already sparse starlight. The night had no plans of moving away from the forest. In this darkness, trees reminded me of shaggy old women that smelled of burial earth. Their trunks turned into cracked, wrinkled faces with holes in the middle as their mouths. If I lost focus even for a moment, mould-covered witches would drag me into the forest's depths. Then my parents would be walking around these parts, screaming my name. But the dead can't answer the living. Or can they? A sense of panic was growing in my chest. I was fine with Dad carrying me into the school in his hands by now if it saved me from watching the darkness rise up in the ravines like black dough. It felt like someone jumped into the bushes behind me, so I turned around. As soon as I started walking faster, I heard the snow squeak behind me. The forest took a deep breath with its giant lungs. The windfall cracked. The wind and the birds were left behind in the field. Now I could only hear the forest creak. I walked, listening closely, and the unseen presence grew stronger, as if someone was following me, trying to match the pace of my footsteps. I turned my head so fast it made my neck crunch. A tiny trail behind me disappeared into the darkness. Tree branches overlapped, forming a natural tunnel. "Who's there?" The question escaped my lips and dissolved into the unending creaking sound of the wooden idols, the pines around me. Why did I think going through the forest alone was a good idea? I'm either going mad, or someone had intentionally lured me away from home. Distant lights granted me a smidgen of hope. A country road. I ran there as fast as I could, as if afraid that the trail will shrink. Clawed hands will grip me by the shoulders, turn me around and make me look at the faces of the hungry forest denizens. In the end, nobody stopped me. I almost flew to the decrepit wooden bridge, disbelieving my luck. The bridge's supports bathed in a spring, tarry and ice cold. I put my hands on my knees and looked up at the forest, then snorted, trying to calm my breathing. The thicket was pretending to be asleep. It looked peaceful, lifeless. The remaining part of my commute led... I might change that. The remaining part of my commute lay through a snow-laden road, illuminated by sparse lamplights. I chased away bad thoughts and ran as fast as I could, from one circle of light to another, seeking protection from electric lamps. Just like in that game, where you need to be the first to proclaim, "I'm protected." I'm not sure what game that is. We'll have a look at the glossary. Tag. Oh, a tag. Okay, well we know what the game of tag is. It's just in this case that protection was flimsy at best, with darkness writhing outside its bounds. Then I noticed something remarkably eerie. Oh, we missed that. I'm gonna read the thing. In a place where the light from an inclined lamp couldn't reach, a hairy, crooked shadow came alive with a guttural roar. It almost felt like its features deterred light. Its unnatural pose instilled fear. My eyes almost popped out of their sockets as I just stood there, blinking, trying to chase away that illusion. But the shadow didn't disappear, and even got closer. My insides were gripped by horror. I stepped back and almost fell into a snow pile. The black silhouette, on the other hand, straightened up and addressed me in a sweet voice. "Sneaking around, huh? Trying to steal my soul?" Words got stuck in my throat. Who could be talking in such a silky voice here, between the forest and the dormant village? "Will you say something, dummy? A cat got your tongue? All right, I'll bite off your nose then. That'll teach you not to poke it in places it doesn't belong." A girl stood before me, judging from the voice and the silhouette. But I couldn't even reprimand myself for getting scared by a girl, before noticing a gaping mouth under her hood with something dangerously shiny inside. I was stunned. From the cavity of her hood, a frighteningly real fox face was staring straight at me. It's just her jaws weren't moving and her eyes weren't blinking. A mask? It's just a girl with a fox mask on. At least, I wanted to think that. After a surprise like that, a nervous smile crept involuntarily... After a surprise like that, a nervous smile involuntarily crept onto my face. "I was just going to school and then you... What about me? Never seen a fox feed a dog?" And indeed there was a small dog circling the girl's legs. One of the strays that were chasing me yesterday, probably. "Sorry, I didn't mean to..." After hearing my voice, the dog whimpered, lowered its ears, sniffed me out, and then started wagging its tail. I guess I still smelled of bologna that I ate for breakfast. I was shifting my gaze back and forth from the dog to the girl. She didn't seem scary anymore, just weird. "So you didn't mean to, huh? What's your name?" "I'm Anton." "And you?" "And I'm not." She's weird, definitely has a couple of loose screws, but she has a nice voice. My astonishment has turned into a mix of happiness and relief. This girl I didn't know was definitely human, if a bit eccentric. I was also a bit angry at myself. This foxy girl was walking through the darkness without problem, and I shuddered from every little sound. I could just walk away, but this girl had piqued my interest. The next time a police officer asks me about my friends at the new place, I'll tell him that I befriended a talking fox. Do you live around here? In the village? The fox giggled and purred. She spun around so hard the hem of her coat lifted up. No, dummy. Foxes don't live in villages. So you live in the forest then? Have you been living under a rock? It's obvious that foxes can't survive anywhere near humans, as long as they're foxes. Her jokes were also weird. Just like her carnival mask, papier-mâché with fur glued onto it. A dog reminded us of its existence with a loud bark. I unfastened my backpack. Dad would sometimes throw food in there without my knowledge. Cookies, apples, or even my favourite crab sticks. He called it a gift from the bunny. Treat from the bunny, the uneaten part of a business lunch, or a treat specifically bought for children. Parents would tell their children that a bunny asked them to deliver said treat, but it could also be any other animal. A squirrel or bear, for example. Obviously a Russian saying. The stray strolled towards me with mincing footsteps, with a pleading look in its eyes. The fox did definitely treat it to something, but it was probably still hungry. Why are you dressed like this so early in the morning? Going to a costume party? The girl shrugged, throwing silvery snowflakes off her nose, and her human form along with them, turning into a genuine beast. A real fox, agile, cunning, dangerous. A moment of hesitation and you'll be ripped to shreds. She'll tear you up and gulp you down without breaking a sweat. I couldn't help but just stand there as a stump. Until I heard her calm, melodic laughter hidden underneath the beastly mask. I wish you could have seen your own mask, sweetie. Sweet? Did she say sweetie? I got embarrassed. I went red up to my hair roots. We'd seen a fox in a zoo once, when we went there with Dad, but it had patchy fur, was grey and skinny. But this girl was of fiery colour and furry, just like in fairy tales. I was still rummaging through my backpack. My fingers that were searching for the dog's treat stumbled upon some soft, crumpled object. You'll see. The real beasts will wake up soon. You should ask them where they got their human faces. The girl's shadow was dancing in the lamp's light. The dog yapped in agreement. I freaked out and dropped my finding in the snow without getting a proper chance to examine it. Cold wind instantly covered the hole it created with snow. The dog rushed to dig it out, wanting to get its treat. And the fox just snorted. Now I was so embarrassed I wanted to sink through the snow. It was still dark outside of the electric circle. On the contrary, the darkness seemed even more thick. All neighbouring houses were sleeping deeply in its inkiness. I did my best to continue the conversation with the weird girl I didn't know. So, are you going to school? Oh my, you are a real dummy. Don't you get it? Welp, I was trying to be friendly, but she can't stop mocking me. Calling me a dummy and all. I should have just move along without paying any attention to this weirdo and a stupid dog. Why are you so mean? Don't answer if you don't want to. It's not like I care. Still, something froze me in place, tugged me towards the dark figure. A mysterious appearance, her voice that was velvety and just languid enough. I was intrigued and excited. I watched her as people watch fires burn. Oh, stop pouting. Look here. Julka took a liking to you. The dog was digging through snow with sharp movements, snoring loudly. The fox turned around and looked at the windows of a nearby house, at its timbered front through the white mist. The tip of her fake nose was shining under the lamp's light. And maybe someone else too. I went red again, like a boiled crayfish this time. Is she talking about herself or someone else? I hoped that the semi-dark would be able to hide my embarrassment from the girl. I cleared my throat before asking, "And who's that person?" I waited, counting my heartbeat. The fox didn't reply. Her sly stare was scanning the frosty patterns of someone's windows. She was reading them like a glass book. I wonder what she can see in those winter paintings. The stray stopped rummaging through the snow. It ran to me, holding my object in her jaws. A mitten. Could it be the one I found in the forest? What's it doing here? When I looked closer, I realised that it was just my mitten. Maybe Mum stuffed it in there when I was asleep. A certain missing boy immediately came to mind. Hey, do you know anything about Vova? I imagined the scene, silhouettes, dancing in the clearing. The dance on the night when Vova had disappeared. A boy who, when found, can provide a big reward and maybe save my family. I remembered my birthday when our parents promised to take me and Olya to Disneyland in Paris. But instead of a long-anticipated gift, they gave me a simple brick game console, visibly embarrassed. I was crying my eyes out back then, demanding to take me back to the promised amusement park. That was the first time when Mum and Dad had a big fight. My greediness shattered their relationship. If only I could fix everything, gather everybody I love and take them to Disneyland. On the night Vova disappeared, I think I saw someone like you dancing under my window. It couldn't be true, but I felt like her mask became even more sly. The fox was sniffing me out. Oh, that got you worried? For yourself or for someone else? Olya. As soon as I thought about my sister, my chest tightened and cold sweat streamed down my spine. Well then, listen closely, a boy named Anton. This is a big and scary forest. The fox girl stepped forward menacingly. And I'm not its only tenant. The other beasts already know about you. Beware. We'll come again tonight. I shouldn't have talked this evil in child form, I thought, panicking. When you and your parents will be fast asleep, we'll sneak really close and dance. Macarena! Huh? Hey, Macarena. Oh, look at you. Your mouth is agape, Antosha. He saw me near his window at night. Yeah, right. Are you, by any chance, a dimwit? Nobody will let me go outside that late. Children go missing here, you know. I touched the plastic frame of my glasses, puzzled by her silly joke. She got me scared to death. Hey, why don't you stop fondling old glasses? I was also nearsighted once. Listen to me, and maybe you'll become smarter. Remember, what do they call foxes? Cunning? My words seemed to hurt her. Hey, what did you... sorry. Her laughter was akin to the jingle of a pair of silver bells. Just pulling your leg. Of course we're cunning. If you're agile and brave enough to befriend a cunning fox, I'll help you look for your Vova. There's a reason why you're doing it, right? I shrugged in reply. Her insight was alarming. I know why children have been swarming our forest recently. Sometimes you can find a lot of interesting stuff there. One day, I saw a huge pile of candy, and I swam in it until my jaws cramped. A pile of candy? I couldn't deduce whether she believed in what she was saying from the tone of her voice. I showed her another smile, a fake one this time. Boo, so wary. Well, what will you say to this then? She held out her hand. In a furry mitten. Okay. There was an assortment of sweets in her palm. In the city where I used to live, sweets like these were sold at markets or in kiosks. Well, I think I can guess what a kiosk is. I saw my favourite bubblegum in a vivid wrapper among the tasty treasure. A familiar name was on it. Turbo. A triangular fox face poked her nose towards me. Take some. My pockets are full of these. Oh, she's hella creepy, but let's take it. Alright, I want to see what happens if we take it. I accepted the treat, and catching a whiff of the girl's smell. Fur, fireworks, and citrus. The smell of holidays. My fingers tingled while I was carefully unwrapping the gum. Peachy aroma entered my nostrils. And something else, something unfamiliar, but pleasant. The fruity cube ended up in my mouth. I started moving my molars, chewing the gum. It tasted like your usual Turkish gum, only my tongue went a bit numb. I couldn't believe my luck after opening the insert. I looked at a Mercedes-Benz, an extremely rare and hence desirable collector's item for any boy from my previous neighbourhood. My heart skipped a beat. I was barely able to tear my eyes off the insert, still stunned. This is... Now do you see what can be found in the forest? Still, I wouldn't go in there alone if I were you. You get so flustered over simple bubblegum after all. Imagine what would happen if you find a travel case worth of these. It'll surely blow your mind. Unusual treats. Just like everything else about her. I carefully hid the insert in my bag, as if I was putting a rare butterfly in a can. The fox giggled. This is not how things are supposed to go on a Monday morning. Who are you? I refrained from asking that question. She wouldn't answer anyway, or she'll just lie. I really wanted to see what's behind her mask. I was becoming more and more sure that underneath it wasn't just a simple young girl. What if Vova also found a snow pile with sweets and is now rolling in it? Actually, what if he decided to stay in the forest? He must be so cold without his second mitten then. The wind caught her words like smoke from a fire and carried them deep into the darkness, into the creepy thicket. The trees behind me creaked with their bony branches. Or what if something happened to him along the way? Something terrible. The forest reacted to her words, became alive. It sniffed me out, perking up its ears just like a curious beast. The fox girl pierced me with her eyes again. Wild beasts? You find that scary? Well, I don't know. He doesn't know. Oh my, have I befriended a dunce? I didn't like being called a dunce, yet being friends with her sounded nice. My grades are good. Really now? Will you come with me, good grades Anton? We'll find your Vova, and you'll be able to ask him what he found deep in the forest. As long as you're with me, nothing can hurt you in the forest. You'll see. Worms of worry writhed in my belly. Better run, whispered my mind. I don't believe you. Do you take me for a liar? Whatever, you're just like everybody else. The girl sounded hurt, although I didn't know if she was being genuine about it. She turned around as if she had immediately lost all interest in me. The gum felt bitter now. Oops. Sometimes I click and it just does a couple of dialogue boxes at a time. I remembered my dad's favourite saying, "Where are your manners, son?" Indeed, this fox was kind to me. Please don't get mad. Foxes can also be nice, like in fairy tales. I just need to know what kind of fox you are. The girl giggled, hiding the nose of her mask in her hands. Then follow me into the forest and you'll get to know me. But not right now, when it gets bright. I mean, your whole body is shaking, you poor thing. I don't want you to get a stroke. Hey, let me accompany you to school. After hearing this, the dog barked in agreement and stopped messing with the mitten. I leaned in, trying to grab the piece of handwear that almost ran away from me. Well, if we're going in the same direction... We went towards the school and the lost dawn. Here and there, the lights came on in the windows of houses we passed, as if their inhabitants were sending us warning signs. Silhouettes lurked behind curtains. Dogs let out occasional barks. Spirals of grey smoke rose from chimneys. TVs bustled and dishes clanged in kitchens. We watched the village slowly rise from its slumber while carefully treading the snowy wheel trails. I walked in the left one, and she took the right one. The dog was following right behind us. I expected the fox to bring up something weird again, but she stayed silent all the way to the school, as if playing with me, some game only she was privy to. She would only giggle from time to time when the dog sneezed from the snowflakes that fell on its nose. I was the first to break the silence. So what's your name? Here it comes. Names, names, names. You people always need to put labels on everything. What name would you give to a fox like me? I don't know. But I've read about Elisa the fox. You know what? I don't mind. I'll be Elisa. I couldn't understand if she was joking or not. I turned around as if looking for an answer from the dog, from the dark sky devoid of dawn. My silent questions were left unanswered. The school's outline was already in our sight. A giant brick box stuck in the endless night. Light in its windows didn't bode well for me. The warden trees were guarding the schoolyard. Screams, childish laughter and someone's whistling tore up the silence. I went here with Mum when we just moved, and the place looked cosy at that time. Empty corridors that smelled of polish. Puffy snow outside. The second time I came alone to get the books and just kept on imagining my peers rolling down the railings, grade schoolers running to the library, and teachers marching down the corridor with the air of self-importance around them. High schoolers were smoking at the entrance in track pants and wool caps perched on their foreheads. Their appearance destroyed the last hopes for a cosy school. Their stingy eyes and the teeth yellow from nicotine, their smirks, all of it had the same gloomy effect as the cloudy winter morning. Absorbed by my thoughts, I completely forgot about my companion. "I'll wait for you at the backyard after school." "Near the hanged man." "Near what?" She just ignored my question. "Don't be late." I hesitated. Blowing hot and cold again, Mum always said that when I would have trouble choosing between two options. Thinking about Mum helped me reply. "I'm going straight home after school." "Well, Antosha, I'm going to let you off the hook. But the others will creep up to you with their smiles and sink their teeth into you. Won't be able to shake them off as easily. Remember my words." Whoa! It was a fox's mouth. The fox opened her mouth in a wide yawn. What kind of trick is this? Someone running in the distance called out my name. I instinctively turned around. A huge snowball whizzed past my shoulder and hit the dog. It whimpered and ran towards the spring. The darkness devoured it. The fox girl was also nowhere to be seen. She dissolved into frosty air. Or was she hiding in my shadow? I gulped. And swallowed the gum. Unlucky. After taking a deep breath, I went towards the school, towards the cutlets in dough, towards the light raining down on the snow. Whose nest is this, I wonder? A thieving magpie? Then it probably has all sorts of shiny things in it. Pieces of colourful glass, bottle caps, polished coins, or child braces. What else we got? We got this creepy guy here. A tall man was standing near the gate, puffing out clouds of smoke into the wind. He didn't look like a teacher. Was he a PE guy, maybe? I carefully studied his face that looked like it was cut from a piece of granite, and his hair lip that was holding down a cigarette. He was playing around with car keys and staring back at us. The light from the cigarette was reflected in his eyes that were sitting deep in his eye sockets. I froze in place. The hulking man lazily tore his eyes from us and walked towards the road. Carl. There was a fresh-looking Volga parked nearby, with one of its front wheels perched up on the icy curb. Black like soothe, as if it was straight out of the horror story Dad loved to tell me when we hid in the attic during a thunderstorm. I remember him always wearing a sad smile while mentioning the black car that snatched children. He would say, "It looks like a funeral car on the inside with curtains and all. And it has DSC on its license plate. Do you know what that means? Death to Soviet children." Funny, I was born in the USSR too. I think that's it to examine here. Oh no, this is this group. A buzzing crowd of upperclassmen with their winter hats tipped to the side had better not draw their attention. Right, let's go in. I could hear muffled voices behind the doors, saw blinking lamps. Darkness creeped along the windows, and it felt like the school was drifting in open space like a lonely, lost spaceship. Paspy Ksania Irokov? Don't know what it means. Attention, child missing. Vova Machukin, 10 years old. After going up to the second floor, I noticed a crowd around the notice board. Everyone was taking part in a lively discussion. I moved closer and took a look at something everyone was interested in through a wall of backpacks. There was a piece of paper with something printed on it, glued to the left of the notice board. Attention, child missing. Vova Machukin, 10 years old. Vova Machukin, 10 years old, grade 4, B. He left his home on January the 5th around 4 p.m. and never returned. Was last seen at the bridge over the Smorodina River. He was wearing an orange coat with a hood, a black wool cap, a scarf, and mittens with green stripes. Might have had a plastic toy gun on him. He was 142 centimetres tall, skinny, brown hair and green eyes. Child missing. Vova Machukin, that was his name. A 4th grader. On that grainy print, Vova looked dead, with a black mouth and dark, empty eye sockets. Could it be that the darkness dwelling deep in the forest invaded his pores and mutilated his face? A plastic toy gun couldn't protect him from the whispering branches and the howling wind. Empty eyes of the lost boy pierced through my soul as if pleading. Unable to meet his stare, I turned around and rushed to the window, took a seat on the windowsill. The corridor was slowly filling up with children, in groups of few. Nobody paid me any mind. In the darkness of school toilets, child voices were hammering a nursery rhyme. For the fox and for the bear, bunny tasty meals prepare. I turned my head towards them, trying to get a better look at their features, but then my attention was stolen by a loud clicking sound. A female teacher marched down the corridor with her chin raised up high. Her heels were hitting the floor like miniature hooves. A girl was trailing her every step. She was also looking pompous, stopping along the way and whispering some secret in her friend's ear. She was probably a class rep, since she was carrying an attendance register book. Ekaterina, take this, please. The teacher opened the classroom door, and the crowd of children swarmed in, screaming and pushing. Oh, goodness. Out of all of them, a tall, red-headed fat boy caught my attention. His face was full of blisters. He looked like the insides of a pomegranate. A bad feeling rose up the hair on the back of my head. I've seen boys like him before. Unsettled eyes, cackling laughter. The girl, who was a smaller copy of the teacher, warned the boy with a wave of her hand and entered the room through the clearing in the crowd. Some other guy stood in the way of the crowd, and the redhead immediately shoved him. "Move your legs, moron!" The boy flew head first, flailing his hands, trying to keep his balance. Oh, he's a bully. The fatso burst out laughing, and a couple of kids joined his nasty cackling. Their laughter sounded like someone was snipping with huge garden scissors. The classroom sucked all of the kids in, and the corridor stood empty. I wanted to grow roots and stay on the windowsill. Just a handful of lampposts outside were battling the darkness, writhing like fluorescent fish in the black ocean. Maybe I can still run away. Go outside, dissolve in the dark. I imagine myself running through snow, how it squeaks under my boots, and how I'm becoming lighter and lighter with every step. The ringer's trill blew that illusion away. I tore myself from the window with great effort, then took a couple of deep breaths, trying to at least calm down my mad pulse, and entered the classroom. The prim teacher looked at me over the frame of her glasses, clearly annoyed. "I'm the transfer student. I was told to come here." The snowy forest trail was winding in front of my eyes. The pines rustled, but it didn't sound predatory anymore. She buried herself in the register and flicked through the pages. "Your last name?" Petrov." "Huh? What are you mumbling there? Say it clearly." "Petrov. You're not on the list." She measured me with a long and heavy stare as if trying to see if I was lying. I wanted to sink through the floor. Hazy faces observed all of that from the left. The classroom breathed and snorted in unison, like a living organism, like a dangerous beast. Are you sure? I don't have you in my register. My knees chose the worst time to start shaking and I felt dizzy. I clenched my fists so hard my knuckles became white. They told me to come to classroom 204 to ask for Lilia Pavlovna, class 6C. Apparently everyone in the classroom took my words for some sort of joke, because they were all laughing. What's wrong with this school? The classroom fell silent. The kids hid their smirks for a better occasion. Ugh, why do we hire so many interns? They all know how to put lipstick all over their bulging lips, but when it comes to real problems, I have to solve everything. How do they send you here without any proper paperwork? Ugh, we've had the same thing happen so many times already. Wait here, I'll be back. After I have a little chat with them. The teacher flew past me, mumbling something to herself in righteous anger, and I was left standing at the centre of the classroom. Like a convict in front of a firing squad, I lowered my gaze, feeling the mocking stares from all around the classroom directed at me. They prickled on my skin, danced on it like laser sights. Once again I imagined running far away from this place, fighting the clawing wind, soaring high above the pines in one long jump, with the wind in my back as my only companion. The eyes of my future classmates were asking, this new boy, is he one of us or an outsider? Somebody whispered something and stifled laughter rolled through the classroom. Wipe the board. It was easy to guess who was the main prankster here. Hey, Four Eyes. Are you not only blind but also deaf? I said, wipe the board. My knees weren't the only shaking part of my body anymore. I was trembling from head to toe, and I prayed for the teacher to come back sooner. My prayers were answered by the powers that be. And what should I do with you now? Where will you sit? Oh well, you can sit with Semyon, I suppose. He's alone anyway. Oh, no way! Oh, was Semyon the fat kid? Okay, the fatso put his backpack on the seat beside him in defiance, scratched his belly and smirked. Are you back to your old tricks? Shall I call your grandma here again? The classroom went silent. And what's she gonna do? I'll be the one to do something if she doesn't. Put away your backpack, now. Semyon didn't move a muscle. He started studying the portraits of writers on the wall, looking bored. I needed to do something to resolve this somehow, to save myself. I cleared my throat and continued in a stifled voice that sounded nothing like me. I can sit in the last row. I think there's a free seat. The teacher snorted loudly. She looked at me, and then at Semyon, then back at me. Fine, go there for now. And you, Baburin, I'll have a talk with you later. Come to me after classes. You'll be put on cleaning duty, got it? Semyon forced out a twisted smile. Juicy pimples were growing on the tip of his nose, ripe for the taking. Ooh. I walked carefully, afraid to stumble and fall, causing another outburst of laughter from everyone. I took my seat at the back, at the last table, where I was met with a pile of old posters. The outcasts took their seats, and the class was ready to start. Now this is settled, let's start the class. Today's theme is traditions of Russian and international literature in Zoshenko's Don't Lie. The fatso turned back to me. His stare informed me of the coming days, weeks and months of bullying. I've got my eyes on you, said his watery look. After just a couple of periods, I had already noticed a huge yellow spit stain in my notebook. Then, at the cafeteria, this Semyon accidentally spilled a glass of compote on me. And what's compote? A dessert drink brewed from a mix of dry fruit and berries. And then he flailed his hands around after exiting the toilet so some of the liquid from his hands would get on me. Just before the final period for today, Semyon pushed me into a buzzing crowd of girls from our class. They made way, cursing, but I couldn't hold my balance and ended up ramming my face into the girl I took for the class rep before, right in her chest. Ow! I immediately stepped back, dying from embarrassment. I'm sorry, are you all right? Yeah. Then she suddenly put her hands on her hips. Will you look at him? Groping me in front of everyone. I'll tell my mum. They'll expel you, pervert. There was some sort of sadistic pleasure in her eyes, as if she was a child who was about to put a lit-up match to the chafer beetle. I didn't mean to, he pushed me. We all saw that, you know, no blind among us. She stared at my glasses while showing me a creepy smile. I started to fume on the inside, but Semyon's laughter cooled my head. I pushed you, you sure? He swaggered up to me, enveloping me in the smell of sunflower seeds and rotting teeth, and then pushed me to the ground. Like this, huh? What you going to do now? The bully towered over me as if saying, Come on, hit me, let me see you try. Oh yeah, we're fighting back, you better believe that. Listen, you! My throat went dry, my lips were moving on their own, and my voice was akin to a stifled squeal. Semyon wore a mocking smile. Go on, Four Eyes. Why did you stop? We're all waiting. If you ever touch me again... Semyon slowly stuck out a finger and poked my forehead. I did. So what? If you ever do it again... Here. Once more. And again. And again. And again. He was poking me with his finger so hard that my head tilted backwards. I must not cry, or I'll be done for. What would a wimp like you do to me? My vision went blurry. My soles tore off from the floor. I rushed forward and threw a random punch without looking. What I saw when I opened my eyes was beautiful and horrifying at the same time. Semyon was holding his ear and blinking in amazement. Was I the first person to rebel against his absolute rule? Stop it! I needed to run, but I was already surrounded by his cronies. Lilia Pavlovna! Petrov just hit Baburin! Semyon's cheeks grew even redder and his pimples even whiter, like the heads of lava. Ew. But a smile flashed on his face that was only noticed among his comrades. He got really close to me. The smell of rotten teeth washed over me. You are fucking done. His voice was evil and dangerous, like someone tore off the lid from a kettle with boiling fat. I was waiting to get hit, counting the thumps of my heart and guessing where his fist will go. The solar plexus, the jaw, the nose. But he just turned around and walked off. A thought, cold and sober and extremely rational, popped up in my head. I'm going to get killed today. I was late to leave the school after classes on purpose. Semyon didn't attend the last period, so I was hopeful. What if he decided to dodge the cleaning duty and ran home, forgetting all about me? I heaved a sigh of relief, like someone on death row whose execution was delayed by a day. But I didn't let myself forget his tone, his vengeful gaze and his scary, electrified smirk. While the other students were leaving the school laughing loudly, I was pretending to skim through my books near a window. I was staring outside, nervous. Semyon was nowhere to be found in the front yard or near the school gate. I didn't really believe I was this lucky, so I decided to be extra cautious and stayed for some more time in the corridor that was gradually getting less crowded. All of the bustle moved to the first floor. There was a skeleton peeking out of the biology classroom. Some jokester put a cap with the American condor on its head. The sound of running water were coming from the bathroom. I was the only person left in the whole school. I'm not alone. A sudden thought came to mind. I remembered the missing boy. His portrait was on the notice board near the schedule. I remembered his smile. Him looking at me. And the fact that he's mostly likely already dead. Hello? I shuddered and turned around. At first my eye stumbled upon the black violin case. Then I noticed a girl from my class was holding it. She sat in the first row of the second column. I could swear I caught her looking at me a couple of times. And I was sneaking glances at her myself. Sometimes it just feels nice to look at something pretty. The spring, the sky, or a girl that's not in the crowd that laughs at Semyon's jokes. And she wasn't whispering the dirty laundry of other people to catch her. She spent all the breaks just like me, staying in the classroom or looking in the window or drawing something in her green notebook. "Hello!" I turned red and pretended I was studying the pattern on the wooden floor. "It was cool the way you hit him." "It was just an accident. Almost." I started shoving books in my backpack to at least put something in my hands. "Semyon wasn't like that before. He also transferred here just recently. His grandma told me that it almost felt like he went mad. Even the upperclassmen fear Semyon, did you know? But you're different. You're brave." I mumbled in reply, "Yeah, right. Me? Brave? A hero that has been standing around in the hallway to avoid a beating?" The girl looked at me with her clear, attentive eyes. "Do you live across the river? In that wooden house?" "Yeah." "Oh, must be scary living there. And you also have to cross the forest? I wouldn't be able to do that." I shivered at the mention of the forest. I thought of intertwining branches, of a snake-like trail, of endless darkness that spread like mould among the crooked trees. So I straight up lied. It's not that scary." "What's so scary about it for you?" She smiled after a brief pause, as if brushing off a daydream. "Well, actually, never mind. My name is Polina, by the way. And I'm Anton." "I already know that." "Hey, Anton." She stumbled, as if trying to decide whether she should continue. What are you doing after school?" My chest felt prickly after her innocent question, yet somehow it felt pleasant. Nothing much." I stumbled and I didn't finish my sentence. Elisa's predatory smile flashed in front of my eyes. Her playful eyes in the slits of the mask were probably just a product of my imagination, though. What if that fox girl is waiting for me after the school? Or was it another of her weird jokes? I wonder if she's hiding a big red tail under her coat. I suddenly got covered with beads of sweat, like after a PE class. I wanted to take a shower, as if just thinking of the foxy girl made me dirty, soiled my clothes, lured me into the forest's embrace. "I have a violin lesson and then I'll be free. My grandpa hired me a private tutor. Our music teacher is a violinist, and he doesn't have anyone to teach here, except for me." She waved her free hand in the air, imitating the movement of a bow on violin strings. I could almost hear the music. It chased Elisa out of my head. I looked at Polina's lips, catching her every word, and was frozen from the unusual sensations. They were warm, soothing, and tingly. It felt like I was very small and the feelings were immense and they couldn't fit inside me. They say there's a serial killer on the loose in the village. Normally Grandpa would escort me home from school, but he's been sick lately. I snuck a glance at Vova's photo. His eye wells were studying me. God, is it me or is he looking more evil each time we see this photo? And his lips were wearing black lipstick. Just like the portrait on a gravestone. I mean, I'm not a coward, it's just, I think I'll be safer together with you. Will you go home with me, Anton? There it was. Finally, everything that I read about in the adventure books, everything that I dreamt about was seeping into my life. A mysterious crime, a beautiful stranger, and a heroic duel. A duel. Thinking of Semyon instantly sobered me up, returned me back to earth, and it started shaking under my feet like the deck of a ship. If only I could rise to the occasion in front of Polina. Because no matter how brave I was trying to act, it was obvious for both of us that I wouldn't be able to stand a chance against a big guy like that. And him knocking me out wouldn't even be the worst of it. The worst part is, Polina will see all of that. And she'll laugh at me, like everybody else. No, I don't need anybody to see me in such a shameful state. I doubt I'll be able to today. You know, Semyon is waiting for me outside. I need to deal with him one-on-one like a man. Nonsense. Polina brushed off some hair off her forehead, and I sensed a weak aroma of blackberry. Polina was like water when you were thirsty. You gulp it down and still wanted more. I remembered the summer evenings at the country house, the fire's pungent smoke, the berries hanging over our fence from the neighbours, and a soft cover of pine needles under my soles. Those few peaceful days when I felt completely safe. My mum resting in the hammock, my dad putting meat on a skewer. Could I have foreseen the upcoming catastrophe in the crackle of the coals, in our parents' laughs, in the smell of the fleeting July? Could I have seen how fragile that world was? Do you really think that savage will give you a fair fight? He'll just swarm you with his friends without giving you a chance to catch a breath. Polina suddenly flashed a devious smile. But if we go together, they will be put off. I'm not only the first violin of the village, I'm also a girl. I've heard from a delinquent I know that he'll never attack someone when there's a girl around. Can you imagine? They have this weird code of honour. A delinquent, you know, I thought, worried. Is he better than me? Taller? More handsome? Oh, I have to go to music class. She made a couple of steps and stopped. Amazing. Polina didn't look like those beauties from the magazine posters or the actresses from the movies. But in the flickering light of the ceiling lamps, she looked much more alluring. Can you play anything? My parents bought me a guitar a couple of years ago. I immediately remembered my meagre attempts at making music. A minor, E minor, change, we're all waiting for change. Tsoy's song echoed my thoughts and my desire to change something. Viktor Tsoy, a singer and a frontman of popular Soviet rock band Kino that played a mix of new wave and post-punk. Their hit song Peremen, Changes, is one of the most popular rock tracks of the new Russian era. He died in a car accident. That guitar got lost somewhere, as if refusing to move to the old house near the forest. I think my parents gave it away to someone that needed it more. I don't, sadly. Oh, pity. Oh well, I'll be going. Bye. Her shout was captured by the loud echo. Her shoes also echoed through the school hallways. Bye. I wasn't sure if Polina heard me. I looked out the window again. The schoolyard was empty, just a couple of grade schoolers throwing snowballs at each other. Nobody who looked like the hulking Semyon with his cronies. This was giving me hope. What should I do? Polina could become my friend, the first one in this new place. And besides, she may be in real danger of meeting a killer, and I'll be her defender, her knight. And even though my inner voice was hesitant and whispered about running, away from the killers, lurking in the woods at night, Polina was worth the risk. But the red cunning fox was also intriguing. She promised me to help look for Vova, and this will bring me a reward. More money will almost guarantee peace in my family. Gifts for Olya. I imagine my sister, happy like those girls who get prizes from Suponev in The Finest Hour. What's that? Sergei Suponev, a Soviet and Russian TV host, the most prolific showman of the Russian kids' TV in the 90s. He hosted teen quizzes as well as computer entertainment shows. Suponev died on December 8, 2001 when he crashed his snowmobile into a river pier. She'll be dancing with the famous singers, maybe a new popular boys band like Ivanushki International. I'm not going to look that up. Boy band, that's enough. Mum and Dad hugging in the Ostankino Pavilion. And then all of us going to Disneyland. Ooh, choice to make. And as time is getting on a bit in this episode, I think that I will save it there and we'll carry on next time. So, thanks very much for watching. Some creepiness in this one episode, not quite as much outright scares as there was in the first one, but still you can feel it building up, and there's an unsettling atmosphere around everything, so that's kind of cool. So thanks very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this, and if you did, then please do hit the like button on the video and subscribe to the channel as well. That'd be fantastic. And in the meantime, I hope to see you again next time for more Tiny Bunny. Bye for now.